welcome back. Thanks for coming back to part 2 of the PhD tag. If you are new, please check out part 1. I'll just link it above. And we're gonna just jump right into the remaining questions that were left on the Lit Scholars page. I have linked everybody else down below who have been answering these questions, so you can also go and check out what they have been saying. But if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, watch it to the end, and also drop any comments that if you have any other questions you want to answer in part 3. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these juicy responses. The vegan grad asked, what are some viable finance options for your graduate studies? Weigh in the pros and cons of loans, fellowships, graduate assistantships, working full-time while studying part-time. So I'm going to only address this from the UK perspective because I did not apply to the US. I have a couple of friends who would have been sponsored by the US, so there's like Fulbright, there's the Marshall Scholarship as well. So those are the two that I know in the US, and then a whole bunch of fellowships. But from the UK, so for people in the Commonwealth like me, I'm from the Caribbean, there's Commonwealth funding for masters and PhD programs. I think Commonwealth also sponsors MBA programs as well. So that's that. And there's Chevening as well, which is also very prestigious. A couple of my friends have been on that. So for the past 2 consecutive years, I've had friends getting Chevening awards to go to school in London, Surrey, etc. So those are two really good options for the UK. I also have a video talking about applying to schools and choosing the right university, where I also mentioned just looking on the school websites for scholarship applications and look at the deadlines, because different regions have different scholarships available. Like Mexican students, African students, Australian students can get funding for certain things. But also in the UK, for EU and UK students, there is NERC funding. Or for people that have been here, like could settle here for like 5 years, you're eligible for that. So there's NERC funding, ESPRC funding, and you can get a lot of funding from the schools. For example, I go to Imperial, and there's the Imperial PhD, the President Scholarship, which is for high-performing students. Those are a few of the financing options that I know about. There are a few conditions with like Chevening and Commonwealth, which is that you return to your country, which makes sense, so that you could give back in that way and not contribute to brain drain. Answer the second part of your question, weighing the pros and cons of loans, fellowships, graduate assistantships, working full-time. Well, I can't speak on a loan because I've been so fortunate to be on a scholarship so far. But I guess the only con to maybe different scholarships is if you have the idea that you wanted to settle overseas, but you have the condition to return home. But that has so many benefits in it, and being able to contribute to your country's development and growth. Fellowships I've never done, nor graduate assistantships, but working full-time while studying part-time. So I think it's doable, especially some programs are only full-time, and in that sense I would not advise you to work full-time as well, because for example in the UK it's too much, but once you register as a student you could only work 20 hours in the UK. But if you're studying part-time, for example doing a PhD part-time, that's fine. You have twice the amount of time to finish it. I think it's 6 years, and you can once you just balance things. But it's going to be hard because you're going to be doing a 9-to-5 job, depending on which area you're in, because like people in finance work 12 hours. So in that case you might want to consider your sanity, your rest and all that, because then you come home and then you need to do reading to make up for those hours that you didn't do. So maybe think about it a bit more. But there are some programs like a engineering doctoral program that you go into industry, work with a company, and you're doing a PhD at the same time. So those things have good benefits, and then you could always stay in that company after your PhD. Miriam Ben said, what do I need to consider before engaging in a PhD program? I think there are a lot of things to consider. One is finances. How are you going to fund it? Two, maybe ask, is it necessary for your long-term goal? So think about your long-term goal and see if you need a PhD to do that. Maybe you want to go into academia or something. Check that out. Maybe it's just a passion of yours. If that it is a passion, make sure it's a subject. Make sure you choose a topic and a subject that you're really passionate about, that you'll stay driven about for 3 to 4 years in the UK, and I think it's like 5 years in the US. So you need to make sure that the topic that you're choosing is something that you love and will keep you sustained for those years. You also need to consider your family and if you have to move and things like that. But I think my top 3 would definitely be your finances, your long-term goals, and your passion. Oh, and definitely a supervisor. Consider supervisors. Make sure that you choose a supervisor who is right for you, who fits with you, whether it is somebody who likes to facilitate personal development, or that they try to teach and stuff like that, or if you're going into a research group, think about those things, or if you want to work mainly alone. And 5, you need to consider location. Where is it that you're going to do your PhD? I mentioned this in my tips to consider when applying for a PhD. I'll link it above. But location is very important. For me, I was coming from the Caribbean with sunshine and I was moving to the UK, which is generally a great place. But I knew that London would have a lot to distract me from. So I chose London and I chose Imperial College because it was highly ranked and it was doing what I wanted to do. But check out that video. It tells you, talks about the program, etc. But you should consider your program as well, the program structure. Is it going to be classes? Is it going to be a research group? Is it going to be you working by yourself? What kind of support is going to be offered to you? Are you going to have the opportunity to go to conferences, to speak, to lecture? Those things, just look into those things and see if it aligns with your desires and your long-term goals. But location is important for your mental state. Yeah? Things to do. Bookworming H. I'm really butchering these names. I am so sorry, guys. Do you make time for the things you love to do without feeling guilty, and also make sure you're getting your grad work done? She said, PhD in African Studies, pick up yourself. Yeah, I do make time for the things that I love, and at the moment that is editing videos, going to the gym, my family, and watching TV shows. Yeah, that's a lot. When do I get it done? I try to treat my PhD as 9 to 5 as much as possible. So I go in, I try to be efficient. This doesn't always work, but I try to be as efficient as possible. I try to give 8 hours a day to my PhD, and then if I have to do additional reading at home, I would do it. But I try to make sure that I give the time to my family. I take an hour for myself to go to the gym. I would edit videos maybe on Fridays and weekends. I would watch my shows on weekends as well. So it's just balancing. And even if I work hard during the week, over 8 hours a day, on the weekends I try to relax on Saturdays and Sundays, do my meal prep and stuff, so that I go back into the week rejuvenated and more, and it kind of helps with my efficiency, which goes back to that question of resetting yourself. So I reset on weekends. What do you wish you knew before you began your PhD? I think I kind of just answered that, which is how lonely it could be, and how do you balance a healthy lifestyle? I balance a healthy lifestyle by meal prepping, by making sure I manage my time effectively, in sense of I try to go to the gym early in the morning. That way, once I get into my work, I don't get too distracted, because there are moments that I just feel like working really late, and then just knowing that I have to go to the gym at maybe 6, I'm like, okay, maybe I should leave. But doing the gym early in the morning and then going to work, that is one way I maintain my healthy lifestyle. And also meal prepping on weekends is essential for me, so that I don't go about grabbing bits of sweets and all of that. Anyway, I pack my lunch, I go in the office, and I have that, and that is all I eat for the day, and drinking tons of water. That's how I stay. Jessica, good luck in your application. You could check out my video if you want on how to things you should consider when applying, how to choose the supervisor best for you. Choose a supervisor who one is able to contribute to your work in a good way. They're sensible, they're knowledgeable on the topic, they are supportive, they have connections to people in industry and academia. No, like they're willing to understand you. So what is that word? They're empathetic in a sense that, you know, if you have a family and you have this situation, they're able to understand that. They support your long-term goals. So if you want to be in academia, if you want to go into industry, they try to help you to develop professionally and leave you open to your options after the PhD, and that informed of the processes that you need to take to get to that long-term goal. So somebody who's knowledgeable and in the field and also in industry, I think that is something good to do. And also just speak to people in the research group. That would help you to get a sense of what the researcher, what the supervisor is like. Is it somebody who micromanages? Is that what you want? Somebody who tells you what to do, or do you want to be able to shape your own project? It all comes down to you and how this person fits your work style and what you think a PhD supervisor is. But most importantly, they must support you and give you ideas and encourage you. Okay, and the lit scholar asked the question herself. She says, what's the funniest, most awe-inducing thing that has occurred since starting your program, either academically or personally? What also has been the hardest, and how have you changed since you began? The funniest thing that happened to me since... If you want to hear the funniest thing that has happened to me since starting my PhD, as well as why I do my PhD, hit that subscribe button down below, as well as a notification bell, so you come back next Thursday when I answer those juicy questions. Thanks again for watching. Bye.